Beneath the moonlit river, in a cavern where light had never touched, Elian awoke to silence. He was not on the familiar riverbank, nor in the sun-dappled shallows where he had met Niah. This was a place of crushing cold and absolute dark. Glowing sea vines, like veins of captured starlight, coiled around his limbs, pulsing with a faint, malevolent energy. With every pulse, a whisper of his strength was stolen, drawn into the suffocating water. The air in his lungs felt heavy, each breath a struggle, a tiny fleeting victory against the immense pressure. His thoughts were a fog, but through the haze, one name echoed, a desperate, silent prayer. Niah. Above, the world of sun and soil was thrown into chaos. Elian's disappearance had shattered the peace of the small village nestled by the river. His mother, her face etched with a grief that aged her by the hour, walked the riverbank from dawn until the last light faded. Her calls, raw and desperate, hung in the air, swallowed by a river that had suddenly grown quiet, its gentle currents now still and mournful. The moonlit river, once a source of life and joy, now felt like a tomb, its surface a mirror reflecting only sorrow and loss. The laughter of children no longer echoed from its shores. The fishermen cast their nets with heavy hearts, finding them empty. The river itself seemed to be holding its breath, grieving the loss of the boy who had loved it so dearly. Deep in the heart of the underwater kingdom, Niah felt Elian's fading life force like a shard of ice in her soul. It was a pain so sharp, so profound. It stole the music from her voice and the light from her scales. Guilt, cold and heavy, settled upon her. This was her fault. Her connection with the human boy had brought this darkness. Keller had not just punished Elian. He had declared war on the very idea of their bond. The Guardian's jealousy had twisted his duty into tyranny. He had crossed a line, violating the sanctity of life itself. A fierce resolve hardened Niah's heart. The ancient laws of the kingdom, the rigid traditions that had governed her people for centuries, suddenly seemed fragile, hollow. They could not protect the innocent. They could not heal a broken heart. Defying the edicts of her king and the watchful eyes of the Triton guards, Niah slipped away into the forgotten depths, seeking wisdom older than the kingdom itself. She found the ancient river spirits, beings of pure current and memory, who whispered tales of a balance as delicate as a spider's web. They guided her to the sunken grotto, the domain of a forgotten oracle, a creature whose eyes held the reflection of every possible future. The oracle's voice was the sound of shifting stones and flowing water, ancient and weary. "To save the one you love," it rasped, its words carving themselves into Niah's soul, "is to risk the world he comes from. A life for a life. A world for a world. Saving the human may shatter the fragile peace between water and land forever." The warning was dire, a choice between her love for Elian and the safety of everything he knew. But for Niah, there was no choice. A world without him was a world already lost. Meanwhile, in the magnificent coral fortress, Keller was consumed by a righteous fire. Pride and jealousy had blinded him to reason, twisting his purpose into a dark obsession. He saw Elian not as a boy, but as a contamination, a stain on the purity of their world. He believed he was the river's true savior, the one who would restore order by severing this unnatural bond. Inside the fortress's grandest chamber, surrounded by intricate coral spires that scraped the dark ceiling, he began to prepare a ritual. Ancient runes glowed on the floor as he chanted words of power, his voice echoing with grim determination. His goal was not just to punish, but to erase. He would permanently banish the human boy from the surface world, trapping his spirit in the depths forever, wiping clean the memory of his existence from the river itself. Through this sacrifice, he thought, Niah would see the error of her ways. She would be forced to return to him, to her duty, to the life she was meant to lead. The kingdom would be pure again. Niah stormed into the great coral hall, her presence a silent clap of thunder. Her usual gentle aura was gone, replaced by a cold fury that made the very water around her seem to tremble. Keller turned, a flicker of surprise in his eyes before it was replaced by a cruel, triumphant smile. The tension in the hall was a physical force, pressing in on them. "You dare defy me?" Keller's voice was low, dangerous. You betray your people, your king, your world, for a fleeting affection with a surface dweller. A mistake. Niah met his gaze, her own eyes blazing. You speak of betrayal? She countered, her voice ringing with a strength she didn't know she possessed. You, who use our sacred laws as a weapon. You who mistake fear for respect and control for order. This is not about tradition, Keller. This is about your pride. She took a step closer, the water swirling around her. I chose to know him. I chose to see the good in his world. And I learned that love and gratitude are far stronger than any law you can hide behind. Her words hung in the air, a declaration of war. Keller's face hardened into a mask of rage. The time for words was over. As he slammed his trident into the central rune, the ritual ignited. A vortex of dark energy began to swirl in the center of the hall. Far above on the surface, the consequences were immediate and catastrophic. The moonlit river began to recede, its waters pulling back from the banks as if drawn down by an unseen force. The ground trembled, and cracks snaked through the dry, exposed riverbed. The vibrant green of the valley started to fade, turning a sickly brown. In the village, panic erupted as the very source of their life vanished before their eyes. Dark, angry storm clouds gathered in the sky, blotting out the sun. The weather itself was rebelling, mirroring the violence happening in the depths. The river was screaming, its agony a direct response to Elian's suffering and Niah's desperate defiance. In the dark cavern, Elian felt the last of his strength leaving him. The vines glowed brighter, their victory imminent. But then, a new light appeared. Niah. She was there, a beacon in the crushing dark. Seeing him so weak, so close to death, she made a final desperate choice. Closing her eyes, she focused all of her being, all of her love, all of her very life force. She would not let him die. With a silent scream that tore through the spiritual fabric of the river, she offered a part of herself. A blinding flash of pure, silver light exploded from her, shattering the dark energy of the vines. The chains dissolved into nothingness. Elian was free. But the cost was terrible. The brilliant light that always surrounded Niah began to flicker and dim. Her form became translucent, her vibrant colors fading to a ghostly pale. She was disappearing. Gasping, Elian filled his lungs with the freed air, his strength slowly returning. He could have fled, swam for the surface, for his life. But he looked at Niah, fading before his eyes, and refused. He would not leave her. He would not let her sacrifice be in vain. With a defiant roar that was lost to the churning water, the human boy, who should have been terrified of these crushing depths, did the unthinkable. He dove deeper, deeper into the collapsing underwater world, fighting against currents that tore at him like angry claws. He reached her, wrapping his arms around her fading form as the cavern began to break apart around them. Huge rocks and coral structures rained down, the entire foundation of the river groaning under the strain. From his fortress, Keller watched in stunned disbelief as the ritual spiraled out of his control. As the cavern collapsed, the very walls began to glow. Ancient symbols, markings he had dismissed as myth, awakened with brilliant, terrifying light. It was the prophecy he had tried so desperately to prevent, now unfolding before his eyes. The balance was not being restored. It was being shattered and remade. The final image is of darkness swallowing everything. Elian, a boy of the land, sinks into the abyss, holding tight to the hand of Niah, a spirit of the water whose light has almost gone out. The enraged river rages on, its fate, and the fate of two worlds, hanging on the edge of oblivion.